and welcome along to the ProjectCars2 Virtual Racing League, where today you join us for round 3 of the PS4 Ginetta Junior Championship, and we're at Cadwell Park, the woodland layout of the circuit. Very twisty circuit, lots of gradient changes. It's also known as the mini Nürburgring, or the British Nürburgring. Some refer to it as, due to similarities, narrow track, lots of different varying corners. And you can see the calendar on the screen there. So round 3 Cadwell, we go to Monza next, very different track to this one. And the first 2 rounds have been absolutely full of action, as you'd expect with these G40s, very even on pace. All the drivers are as well, so I don't know, just pick your winner and see what happens. It could be any of them, to be honest. And at the moment though, it is Monty MC Momo leading the way after 2 wins. Very good going by him to get 2 wins, I have to say, with this competitive field. He's been pushed hard by Stuart Davis in second there with 2 second places. Delboy, Alex Brown, Welsh Taft, Dan Holloway, they're all extremely close in the midfield there. And then we got Pixie and Matt as well, battling away. They're also still in the mix too with the midfield runners, so be interested to see how they all get on today, won't it? And yeah, let's have a little look, see what happened last time out. As you could see there, plenty of action and some funky music to go along with it too. Anyway, qualifying for Cadwell looks like this. Stuart Davis on pole again, just ahead of Alex Brown now. He's been extremely quick at this circuit in practice. Championship leader Monty MC Momo down in 3rd, ahead of Dan Holloway. He had a very action-packed race last time out. Pixie looks like he's going very well up there in 5th. See how he gets on today. Welsh Taff in 6th, slotting in behind there. Delboy a little bit disappointed possibly with 7th, but he races pretty well, so we'll see how high he can get up. And Matt as well there in 8th, ever improving is Matt, so he's definitely one to watch in this one, especially as turn 1 is going to offer plenty of overtaking chances. On the grid now, and they're away. And it's Stuart Davis getting a good start, but Alex has got a really good start as well. He's known for his good starts. Both of them are on the front row there. And it's 3 abreast going into the very tight right-hander. And are they going to make contact? Yes, they are already. There's contact in turn 1. And that's Dan Holloway getting in the mix already. Stuart Davis just about avoids it all. Oh, and slammed that's Delboy over. He's lost his bonnet with Matt. Matt is in the mix there too, and Delboy looks like he's struggling to right himself. Hopefully he gets away again soon. But it's Dan Holloway now pressurising Stuart for the lead with Alex Brown down to 3rd there. Alex does have good starts, but Dan Holloway is just extremely brave there in turn 1. Very aggressive. Oh, and he goes through on Stuart there. I think there was a little bit of a tap as well to say he's coming through. So that might have to be looked at after the race with the stewards. We'll have to see about that. And so it's Dan Holloway leading the way now in that lime green car, ahead of Alex Brown, who got ahead of Stuart there as well. Stuart down to 3rd. Monty MC Momo Championship leader in 4th, as Alex Brown now looks to challenge for the lead on Dan Holloway, and they complete lap 1, Alex.
Yeah, that was a fun little lap there. It's really short. Oh, and that's Alex and Stu making contact as bonnet goes flying, hitting everyone. But, and that's Stu around into the barrier. And that's allowed Monty through now, championship leader to 2nd, so he'll be after Dan. But I have to say, Dan's a man on a mission after that first lap. He was going for everyone.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He was just like a madman, like a man possessed on that first lap. And Stuart really will be disappointed with that. He came together with Alex Brown there. It's very easy to do, isn't it, going through Coppice, through that corner there before we head into Charlie's. We've seen it in the Xbox racing as well. A lot of drivers come a cropper there when you go side by side.
Yeah, it's really tight, and there's not much room for two cars going up there, let alone when the superbikes got that section. So they have to be careful. That's deep on the brakes there from Alex. He's really trusting. So any bit of space looks like Pixie goes off in the background. That's going to allow Welsh Taff up to fourth. So he's made a good start too. So big loser is Stu in the first couple of laps, but some big movers up towards the front of the pack.
Absolutely. Look at the replay now. Look at Alex. Look, he had his wheels pointing towards Stuart. He knew what he was going to do. He has a little look down the inside. Dan gets a really good getaway, and it's three abreast between Monty, Pixie, and Welsh Taff in the background there, with Matt just ahead of Delboy by the looks of it. And then Dan Holloway just gets very, very aggressive, doesn't he, on the inside there? A little bit of argy-bargy. Amazingly, they all came through that facing the right way. Well, up until, of course, Matt and Delboy came together here. What happens here, Alex? Is it just Delboy just moving over, not realising Matt was there, possibly? Bang,
yeah.
That was a big hit.
Looks like Pixie was on the left, so he was just trying to move over to avoid him. Didn't realise that Matt was there, and that was enough to send him around and over. So you see the start from on board from Alex. Both had similar starts to Stu. As Stu tries cover, Alex leaves a bit of room, and that's just enough for Dan to send the green machine down the inside and absolutely floor it.
Yeah, really good slow motion replay here now of that was Stuart getting. Yeah, I think he did get pushed wide there by Dan, didn't he? So could we see a penalty possibly for that?
Yeah, you'd have to imagine so. That's a bit of a bump and run tactic, which is very much touring car style, which Dan does like his touring cars, but I don't think it's quite appreciated, let's say, with some of the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart's car is orange, but I think he'll be turning that cockpit blue, won't he, with some of the language in that thing right now. But look, Monty MC1 now going for the lead. He's having a look down the inside of Dan. Dan sees him and goes defensive, and Monty's really on the mission now. He was after a quiet couple of opening lap. He's just waiting for the race to come to him. Championship leader, taking his chances when he can, and Alex Brown now is on the back of him. He didn't quite get past Dan Holloway there, so he's under pressure now from Alex Brown. We know how fast Alex is in these cars. He's loving it around this track, especially. He actually got more time to practice too for this one. Usually he says he doesn't practice much, and qualifying is his practice, but it looks like he's going really well here today, and he's challenging now the championship leader. But it looks like there's a little bit of a train forming behind Dan Holloway. After Dan's flying start, there's now a bit of a truly train, isn't there?
Yeah, I think he's been a bit conscious of where to defend, and that's going to slow him down a bit. But Alex peels off into the pit, so he's the first to pit. That's going to give release some pressure on Monty now, who can just concentrate on Dan. So Dan must be cursing Alex for doing that to him.
Yeah, quite possibly. Monty was in that tricky situation where you're attacking and defending simultaneously. It's never easy. And like you say, Alex, now he's got Dan all to himself, and a little bit of a gap as well back behind. But these two now will certainly be thinking about Alex Brown's stop, and whether do you think they're going to react, because they all have to make a mandatory stop, don't they?
Yeah, they all do. It's hard to say really, because Monty would be concentrating on Dan, but if he's getting held up too much, he could lose time to Alex, because it's so how fast Alex was going. So he could react to it. He could want to get the lead and pull out a bit more, but it looks like Dan's reacting to him as he's straight in the pits.
He is indeed, and Monty Msumomo goes through and takes the lead of the race. So Monty Msumomo, championship leader, with his main rival Stuart Davis in the wars already. It's looking really good for him right now, but we'll have to wait and see what happens between Dan Holloway and Alex Brown. They might be very close together on the circuit when, Pixie there running wide, and Stuart Davis picks up a position up into third now. Pixie's done that a couple of times now, so that's not going to help his cause. There's Alex Brown flashing through now on the start-finish straight. Where's Dan Holloway? Is Dan Holloway ahead? He is! Look, Dan Holloway is quite a bit ahead of Alex Brown. So I don't know if Alex has had an incident somewhere, but he was right behind the Monty Msumomo and Dan, wasn't he, before he came into the stop, and he's miles behind now. He's how much is that? Well, a good 4 seconds behind Alex. What's happened there?
Yeah, unless he changed tyres possibly, or took fuel on. One of his replay will show. No, it's a different incident. This is the bonnet getting tossed about like a tennis ball, and that's steer around to the left as Monty says thank you and goes up the inside.
That was sweet as you like from Monty, wasn't it? So opportunistic. He was just like, almost as if nothing else was going on there, just having a nice day, a drive in the park, well, Cadwell Park, and through he went, and now he's leading the race. So we'll see what lap he pits. We're on lap 7 now out of 26. You can see the lap counter at the top of the screen there. Very helpful for us commentators, that one is, isn't it? Because when it's by time, we often get it wrong, don't we, Albert? But anyway, Monty now leading the way. Welsh Taff, he hasn't quite got the pace of Monty. He's about a second a lap slower. He's really making up his own line through some of those corners, to really going for it as Welsh Taff, as we like to see. He's being chased hard now by Stewart, and Stu looks like he's on a bit of a mission, really, to make up lost ground.
Yeah, he might be trying to make up time before his pit stop. Just because you can imagine if Monty's staying out, he'd be staying out now for a while, just to get the lap times down to pull a bit of a lead on Dan. But it looks like Dan's caught up a bit, so he's definitely got the pace again. But Welsh Taft's the man in the middle of these two championship rivals at the moment. Will Pixie make the corner? Yeah, he does this time. Well done, Pixie. But he's doing well up in 4th, ahead of Dan, but obviously he hasn't pitted yet.
Oh, yeah, running a little bit wide, kicking up the dirt there as well, and his bright yellow Ginetta. It's one of the Ginettas that you probably even see in the dark. He's got a very bright colour scheme, and he's going very nicely indeed up there in 4th. One of his main challenges over the PS4 championships that we've run here on this league has been this man here, Alex Brown. But Alex Brown looks like, even though he's behind on the track at the moment, but he's made a stop, looks like he's going to finish higher than his good friend and rival Pixie today. But Stewart now is in the pits. Look, Stewart in the orange car is peeled into the pit lane. He's stationary. Pixie goes flashing past on the straight up into 3rd now. Where's Dan Holloway? There's Dan Holloway. There's Alex Brown. Stewart gets going again. He's trundling his way down to the pit exit. Where's he going to come out? 6th by the looks of it. He's ahead of Matt and Del Boy, who are both quite a bit behind actually. So Stewart looks like he's comfortable up there in 6th now, but now he's really got to get on it, hasn't he, Alex, to make up lost time. Yeah, and Dan Holloway now has Alex Brown catching him back up, so this would be really interesting because they could lose time to Monty, couldn't they?
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth. There's about to say Alex is really catching. He's throwing that car around through that twisty section, but like I said, don't want to battle too much, as they will lose time to Monty, which that'll be ideal for him. But Alex will definitely want to get past, and I wonder if he'll use some of Dan's tactics to get past into the slower corners.
Well, maybe. Is that late braking?
There's specific late braking, I guess you could say.
Calculated late braking maneuvers.
Yeah.
And some BDCC action, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Alex Brown certainly would be up for some BDCC action, I'm sure. So we'll buckle in, hold your breath. Anything could happen here, to be honest. Although they're both very keen and experienced racers now, so they will be thinking about the overall picture, maybe going for the race win. And let's not forget too, they have got Stewart there 4 seconds behind them, so he could even catch this battle up, and Alex Brown really on the grass there, using all the track and a little bit more. But where's the main overtaking spot? I mean, turn 1 I guess is the obvious one. Yeah,
Pixie in the pits there, so he'll go down to that 7th, imagine, but like I said, first corner, if you're brave, that second to last corner, as Dan goes really defensive, he'll probably push Alex quite wide, which he does. That's not going to bother Alex too much, but you might want to try and get down the inside this time. It would make more sense for him. As it looks like Matt and Pixie are quite close. I don't think Matt's pitted yet, so he's going to have a little battle here for a while until he pits.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Matt probably hasn't pitted yet. Pixie has just exited the pits, he's pulling away now from Matt by the looks of it, so he'll be hoping to catch up the runners in front there. Maybe looking at Welsh Taff up there in 2nd, thinking he can come out maybe close to him. I think that could be a potential battle between those two when Welsh Taff pits. But this is the battle on track right now. Alex Brown versus Dan Holloway, two very super aggressive racers, both very keen on their racing indeed. And you can see some of the racecraft at work here. Alex is desperately trying to get a better exit, isn't he, than Dan, by making Dan go really defensive. But so far it's not worked. Dan has got everything in his toolbox so far to hold off Alex Brown. So what's Alex going to have to do here to try and wrong foot Dan somewhere? Because it doesn't seem to be working at the moment into turn 1 there.
Either take a dive here, be really brave on the brakes, and do what Dan did to Stu, but more certainly you'd have to say. You see how close he just catches up there, and that really helps him on the run down to the first corner. As he goes longer route onto the grass. That's going to slow him down a bit. As Dan really forceful there. He's not leaving much room at all. He's really going to have to sell a dummy. Maybe look like you're going down the outside again and just throw it down the inside and hope for the best, as he's doing the opposite. Might be worth breaking extra hard as he goes way too deep, and that's going to help Dan and try and cut back. But it's a tricky one really with how aggressive Dan is defending at the moment.
Yeah, it's the widest Ginetta in the world, Alex must be thinking up front there. And he's doing everything he can. You can see there, he was even going on the grass, wasn't he, to try and get the racing room that he needs to try and get past him. And yeah, like you say, Al, he's just going to have to sell him a dummy, I think, isn't he? But he's a hard one to fool as Dan Holloway, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do. But it's a thrilling battle. Whilst they're battling away, Stuart Davis, he's 5 seconds behind, but they've lost 2 seconds to Monty, so it's looking really rosy at the moment for Monty MC Momo up front. And it looks like he will be extending his championship lead at this rate, but anything can happen. We're over halfway, we're only just over halfway. Here we go again, Alex Brown on Dan Holloway. I think this is almost like watching a replay now, isn't it? Dan's just going to say, thank you very much, I'll just run you a bit wide, get a better exit. And I guess the straight just after there isn't quite long enough, is it, to get the benefit of, you know, just a little bit of a better exit. You're going to have to really, like, just go for it.
Yeah, it's only a short straight into the left-hander. If he gets a better run around the outside and actually tries to brave it, he might get the inside line, but yeah, it's no use really. He's either going to have to try and do a cut back by breaking extra early, pretend he's going around the outside and cut back in. That might help him a bit, but he's got the slipstream. But you can see how aggressive Dan's defending. He's always put him in the wall there as they weave in. A bit late weaving really. We only meant to have one movement, but I guess all favour. Dan's gone deep. This is Alex's chance, and he's through. He's blocked him off, put him on the grass. Have that, he says, and he's through.
That was a lovely move from Alex there, wasn't it? After being stuck behind him, you could feel the frustration almost. I mean, Dan always doing absolutely everything perfectly defensive-wise, but eventually, when you're under that pressure, it's easy to make a mistake. And finally, Dan Holloway cracked, and Alex Brown says, "Thank God for that, I'm through." And like you say, he just said, "Have that," didn't he? Thank you, thank you for holding me up the last few laps. And I'm on my way. But Alex now, he has been prone to the odd mistake, hasn't he? So what he really needs to do now is just knuckle down, isn't it? And get on with the task of trying to close that gap a little bit to Monty. I mean, Monty at the moment is going along quite nicely, but Stuart down there is going along even nicer. He's just done a 49.9 compared to Monty's 50.7. So there is racing room there for Alex to go a little bit quicker than Monty and close that gap. So I guess Monty will be watching that like a hawk too, won't he?
Yeah, definite room. You'll have to imagine he'll probably try to pit as late as possible. But Stu will probably be eyeing up Dan now, as they're only two-ish seconds apart. As Welsh Taff still there in second, hasn't yet pitted, but it's a good race for him so far.
Yeah, he hasn't really had anyone to battle, has he? Oh, Stuart's round, is he? No, just held it. And he's I think he's just seen Dan Holloway up ahead, and after the first lap he's thinking, oh great, this is going to be fun. So he's you see him pushing very hard now. He wants to try and get his own back on Dan probably, and Dan certainly will not want to let him pass, so it'll be quite interesting. So you look at the replay. What's this off? What's this off the overtake, Alex?
Yeah, you just see the amount of weaving. I think Alex was hit as about selling the dummy, as he looks. Dan must think he was trying to brake late, so he was going to brake as late and just force him wide again, and Alex snuck down the inside, so that was a lovely move there. Yeah,
textbook. That was really made the most of the opportunity. It's not easy to do sometimes, is it? But Dan Holloway's nearly round there. He hit the barrier on the outside of turn 1. He did a bit of a pixie there, but Stuart Davis will see that and he'll be thinking, great, I've got him worried. I'm going to attack this curve like my life depends on it. And Dan is absolutely weaving all over the place, saying, "You're not coming through today, Stuart." So yeah, this is going to get even more tasty, I think, than the Alex-Dan battle. What do you reckon, Alex?
Yeah, especially after the first round shenanigans between Dan and Stu with the tactical punting. But Stu looks a bit loose going through that S section. It's definitely having to correct some oversteers, so whether his tyres are getting a bit hot, I'm not sure, so you have to be careful of that, not push too hard and just spin out. But he's excellent on the brakes here. Dan's going defensive early, which is quite peculiar. You'd think he'd go defensive a bit later, as you can't really dive too much there, otherwise you go on to the other track. But that's really close to Stuart now, so that's actually helping him rather than Dan doing a good defensive move.
Yeah, you're right there, but through this bit, it's very much single file, isn't it? It's very hard to get alongside a competitor through here. Like you say, you can take a dive down there. That's where Dan actually got past Stuart earlier on in the race, wasn't it? But I don't know if Stuart's going to be thinking of having a dive down there. But look, he's going to get a double slipstream now because they're coming up to lap Matt, I think it is.
Yeah, that's Matt in the black and red car.
Yeah, so here we go now, down the pit straight. Stuart Davis riding on board. You can see the green car just in front. Oh, he's going to go down the inside. He left just about Ginetta's space. Oh, and bang, he slammed into Matt. Oh dear, this has not gone well at all for Stuart. That was a little bit risky. I think he probably knew that Dan was going to be hard to get past. He saw Ginetta's space and he went for it. And Dan just said, okay, I'll see you later then, as Stuart just sailed on straight into Matt there. And now he's got another car behind him, but I'm pretty sure with the pace Stuart has, he'll be closing up a little bit quicker if he can get past Matt, that is.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a bit desperate. I think he saw how long Alex was behind him as he gives Matt a friendly shove out the way. But I think that he played his cards wrong there. He went for the right idea diving as Welsh Taff comes out of the pits. He'll come back out 6th, I think, or 5th. Oh, 5th, so he's jumped pick C then. But yeah, he played his cards wrong, and Dan gave him just enough room, you'd have to say, but he was half on the grass, so he's never stopping in time for that one. But he did a fast recovery, so that does help him a bit, but he's lost a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's a good point. Monty MC Momo in the pits now, the leader, so it'll be really interesting to see where he comes back out now. Where is Alex Brown? That's the key. Here's Alex. He's coming on to the straight now, around the last corner. Monty's just getting going again. It's a very, very short pit lane here, so it won't be long before he's out. And there he is out. Look in the distance. We'll be right on board with Alex Brown. And Alex now has a clear line of sight to his main rival. Well, his only rival pretty much now for this race win, Monty and Tomorrow Championship leader, and it's only 2 seconds between them. So you can see that Alex has been going on along really nicely there, and that hold up with look at the replay now quickly. This is Matt getting hunted by Stuart a little bit. Yeah, Stuart just flying by. He was never stopping that thing. It was
no, see, just on the grass, there's no traction on theirs. He just goes flying. Dan leaves just enough room, rubbing paint, and Dan was lucky he didn't. Matt was lucky he didn't get flung into the countryside there. Just missed being T-boned.
Yeah, I think Stu nearly ended up on a completely different racetrack there, probably a different county actually. But yeah, he had to go for it, I guess. But like you say, probably just a little bit misjudged that one. And Matt's just the innocent bystander. But Alex Brown, he lost a lot of time battling with this man Dan Holloway, didn't he? And that could have cost him the race win, you could say now. 2 seconds behind Monty. Alex probably would be ahead of Monty at this stage if it wasn't for that battling.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine so. Because he's pulled a gap out to Dan by quite a bit. It's about 7 seconds, 6 seconds. So shows the pace Alex has got. So he could have definitely got the lead since he came out 2 seconds behind. As Stu now looking on the inside, touching the rear quarter of Dan, letting him know he's there. But yeah, that's quite unlucky for Alex. But that's the nature of racing. You start battling, you lose time.
Yeah, and he did eventually make a great overtaking manoeuvre, but now Stuart has to try and follow in the same footsteps of Alex Brown, see if he can get past Dan Holloway. Dan Holloway's just got absolutely his mirrors full today, hasn't he? He's getting plenty of defensive practice. Stuart Davis goes really wide here, but didn't quite get the traction he needed this time round to get through on the inside there of Dan Holloway's ahead through the left-hander there. That's the key. If you're going around the outside of turn 1, you better be getting good enough traction to be on the inside for that second left-hander, isn't it? And really close there. He's really giving him a push along, isn't he? Look how close they are going through this single file bit. Stuart Davis taking the rallycross route by the looks of it, riding the curbs quite nicely there through that corner though. And Dan Holloway just must be, I don't know what he must be thinking, to be honest. All these cars queuing up behind him.
Yeah, you might want to get the tape measure and measure the length of Dan's car at the end and see if it's the same length after all that pushing. Yeah. But yeah, there's no amount of pressures. Dan's already starting to go defensive, weaving a bit. So making Stu guess where he wants to go, but Dan puts in the middle nicely, so that gives him an option. brakes a bit late, he'll just push Stu out wide like he did to Alex earlier. And yeah, it's going to be a tricky one for Stu to get past with these 3 laps left.
Yeah, the only thing he can do, Dan's so good at defending. Oh, he's still on the inside. Oh, this is really wrong-footed Dan. This is a surprise, and he's got the inside now. This is fantastic manoeuvre from Stewart there. And Dan would have been caught sleeping by that one, actually. And he's coming back now, though, on the inside of the next corner. Fantastic racing. Dan down the inside, but a little bit too deep, and Stewart gets to cut back. But Dan's closing the door. Stewart's got just about enough room as he... Oh, and they crash. And Stewart's over on his roof. He's over, and Dan drives off into the sunset, and Stewart gets going again now, but Welsh Chaff has got through. This is incredible, Alex.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Stu was trying there. I think he just wanted to get the place back, but he should have pulled out a bit, but that's cost him big time. Yeah, Dan got a poor run up the hill. Stu had a great exit down the inside. Dan backs out because he knows he can't go 2 by 2 there, gets a better run from it. Down the inside there, that was a great move by Dan, even a bit of touch in. Stu had a better exit though, but just collided together, and that's enough to put Stu over, and not quite over, was it? No, just on the side. He was quite lucky, but yeah, as I said, Dan's away into the sunset now on the podium.
Yeah, I think it has to be said, probably a little bit both at fault for that crash there, but it was fantastic hard racing between them through the corners beforehand. Really opportunistic of Stu there up the hill. Got a great exit, like you say, hooked up that apex really nicely. And then for Dan to come back as well. You don't often see cars going side by side through those corners, so it was really good racing between the two of them. Real shame that they collided in that fashion there. And Stewart especially think that's a shame, because his championship rival Monty Msumomo is holding that gap nicely to Alex Brown out in front now. He's hovering around 1.5 to 2 seconds gap between the two of them. So it looks like Monty has got Alex under control now at this stage of the race, but you never know. It's easier to be the hunter than the hunted, isn't it, towards the end of a race here?
Definitely. They almost did exactly the same lap time that last lap, so it shows how close they are. But
wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think Monty might have it now, unless I'm mistaken. It looks like Dan messed up his braking there, because that's allowed Welsh Chaff to catch up to him as well. I know they had the incident earlier, but Welsh Chaff could be pushing for a podium here, unless Stu has words with him. Stu flying over the curb there, taking his own line. But 3rd, 4th and 5th are really close in these dying moments.
Absolutely. Welsh Chaff has just been going about his business very nicely today, whilst everyone else has been taking the limelight, crashing into each other and having all the action. And suddenly, as Stu goes really wide, suddenly Welsh Chaff, like you say, finds himself with the possibility of a podium if he can get past the immovable object that is Dan Holloway's super wide green machine. But now he's got his mirrors full of the orange car, Stuart Davis. Stuart Davis goes around the outside now as Welsh Chaff goes defensive, and side by side they go into turn 1 here. Very late on the brakes for Stuart, and not quite so late for Welsh Chaff. Welsh Chaff makes the corner, Stu very nearly doesn't, but he's got a great exit now. He ran nice and early on the throttle, and he decides to back out of it. Nearly took a second bite of the cherry there, didn't he? But didn't quite hook up that corner. Hooked up that one nicely. Up the hill we go now again. This is like a repeat of the the last incident. Oh, he's going down the inside. Oh, and they touch a little bit. And Welsh Chaff trading paint with Stuart Davis. Welsh Chaff certainly wants this 4th place. He's not going to let Stuart through easily. And Monty Msumomo takes the win. A great win for Monty there, as all his rivals are crashing into each other. He took full advantage. Great pace as well. Nice and consistent. Alex Brown, case of what might have been, but still a really good result there, up in 2nd. Dan Holloway, I think he's going to get 3rd look, and Welsh Chaff and Stuart Davis really close on the line. What a battle between these two in the last few laps. Yeah,
that was a great final battle. Really sure Stu's trying to get as many points as he can for the championship, but Dan still may have a penalty over his head regarding the first couple of incidents he had. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes towards the end there, as we see Del Boy come home in 8th.
Yeah, confirmation of the result there. Only 21 seconds separating the top 5, so yeah, that's pretty good going. And Pixie there as well, and Matt going along nicely too in 6th and 7th. Del Boy, not sure what happened to Del Boy actually in that one. Didn't really see too much of him, did we? But he finished in 8th there. Looked like he had all right pace there.
Yeah, I think that's rollover at the start affected his race, so he was just trying to get to the end and see if he could make up places. It's a shame really that happened to him in the first corner.
Yeah, it's a good point there, Alex, actually. And see what it does for the championship. Now, look at this. 10 points now between Monty and Stuart. Monty could afford to miss a round and Stu win it, and they still be level on points. Alex Brown now up into third in that really tight midfield battle, ahead of Welsh Taff, Delboy and Dan Holloway, who was really in the wars again here today. Pixie now still 2 points just ahead of Matt there, having a really nice little battle as well at the back there. So yeah, really exciting championship, just like we saw in the Xbox League that when we ran the G40s as well. Just such close action. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, where you'll be updated when we release those new videos of the recent races that get run. And we're at round 4 Monza next time, so lots of slipstreaming, Alex, in that one.
Yeah, plenty of slipstream, only I think 3 corners, if that, for Monza, so it should be a really interesting race.
Certainly will be. Join us there.